My brain is rotting and I need to extract immediately. Let me have this. Hey, it's Allie. Welcome back to my channel. Not gonna lie, I didn't have anything planned for the end of the year, and then I saw this thread on Twitter. Guys, when I tell you this thread single-handedly brought back my Deltarune hyperfixation, it's bad, guys. Like, the game hasn't even updated in 2 years. And it's bad. I could be talking about Undertale Yellow, which maybe I'll play that on stream soon, or the new FNAF game that just came out, or the Game Awards, but no! My stupid little brain is like, don't you think it's sad and crazy how Kris doesn't have any control over their life and we as the player are probably making it worse? So now it's your problem too. If at any time you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe because I make videos like this all the time, and comment down below if you're in the same boat as me. Please, I don't want to be alone. Please. And let's jump into it. So like I said, this started out as a thread on Twitter. So the thread in question is calling attention to the fact that Toby Fox said that there will be no AlleyDreamer merch. Personally, I think we all overlook that, especially as it relates to Kris and their character development. And how, to my knowledge on YouTube, no one is really mentioning this when it comes to making theories or talking about where characters could go. And there are tons and tons and tons of theories out there. Like, this could be a really big thematic device, and I see no one talking about it. So let's talk about it. So the original tweet was asking about Deltarune figures, and someone, I guess, who works on the team responded saying that Toby told us not to create merchandise of the Lightworld characters, so unfortunately no plans for figurines / plushes / etc. for Kris, Susie, Noelle, and etc. Toby then goes on to say in his own Tumblr post about why specifically there won't be any AlleyDreamer merch, in the same vein as the reason why there's no Chara merch, because it just really didn't make sense without fully going into detail on why it wouldn't make sense. So I want to throw my hat into the ring and talk about why possibly does this matter. So the thread mentions this, and I absolutely agree that there was a really big tonal shift from chapter 1 and chapter 2. Chapter 1 was mostly lighthearted and served as a jumping off point with all the characters. And then chapter 2 started off mostly the same, introducing new characters, and then boom, suddenly we get Noelle to kill a guy. The implications of this are very dark and left me with a lingering question. Why? It's a widely held belief at this point that the theme of the game will talk about control. Undertale had a very meta commentary about playing a video game and messing with people's lives, and it seems like Deltarune is headed down that same path. But I believe this one will be a little bit more darker and a little bit more relatable. If we're being honest, Frisk didn't have much of a personality, and we don't get any backstory on who they were as a person before they fell into the underground. This makes it extremely easy to project onto them, make them do the things we want to do, and if you decide to kill everyone, well, you successfully broken the game and destroyed the whole world, I guess. And also you're Chara in this case, which is a whole nother character, so you're really easily able to detach your actions, because you can just be like, oh, I was fulfilling my role as Chara, this isn't really me, it's this character. Whereas everything good that you do, quote unquote, is Frisk. So you're Frisk, not Chara. And of course, the only person able to call you out on this is really Flowey. You could argue Sans, but that's getting into like theory territory about what he could do and all that type of stuff. But really, in reality, the only person to call out the player specifically is Flowey. And because he's an antagonist, it's really easy to just kind of brush him off as like, well, you got issues, so who cares? In Deltarune, however, these types of actions seem to hold more weight. Characters have a lot more depth to them. Kris has a lot more depth as a protagonist specifically, and it is not lost on me how we are not Kris, something that is made known right at the beginning of the game. And as the story unfolds, we are told time and time again that you are not Kris. They are their own person with their own wants and their own needs, and we become hyper aware that we are just controlling them and inflicting our own will onto them. Yeah, our goals may align every now and then, but we will never be them. You can like Moss just as much as Kris likes Moss, but you doing the Spamton fight isn't going to change how that probably scarred them for life. This is supported further by the fact that we as the player come into the story halfway through its rising action. The inciting incident has already happened. Whatever caused deaths to go missing, I'm pretty sure is that inciting incident in the town, because the whole town is hush-hush about it and nobody wants to talk about it, and the only person who seems to know anything else about it is Noelle, and she seems to have a lot of trauma as it relates to it. Noelle is also the one to remark how Kris seemingly is acting the way that they used to act before. Before what? I'm guessing this inciting incident where deaths went missing, but that's a theory. But it's interesting how there seems to have been this period before the player, as we know it, shows up and starts to take control of Kris, where Kris was just kind of this shell, a hollow shell of their former selves. There seems to be a time where Kris was their quote-unquote usual self, mischievous, maybe a little punk, but whatever happened after the inciting incident left Kris a former shell of themselves until the player comes around. And that makes me wonder, What if there was a player before us in some way? Like, why would Kris know to throw their soul into a cage so that we as the player could not see what they were going to do next? Almost like we probably could have stopped them. In the device theory, which is a really cool series of video essays that's not done yet, but it will be at some point, by the YouTuber Molly Stars, they did mention 3 save slots and how there is a slight, and I'm pretty sure only one difference between them so far. That also makes me wonder if there are alternate universes all existing within this one game, and maybe they will reference each other at some point, and maybe Kris has also felt this other timeline somehow, some way, and knows when to relinquish control even if they don't want to. It also makes me wonder about us as the player being in control. What if we're not? Based on the weird meta narration we get at the beginning of the game that a lot of people think to be is Gaster, what if he has the final control and we're just a part of his little experiment? After all, most people only did the weird route because they were curious to see what would happen, not that they actually wanted to go down this route for the full game. Or maybe you did. I don't know. But to that, I think that could be the experiment. What if Gaster, or whoever this narration voice is running this experiment both on us the player and this world? He is able to see outside of this world and he's messing with it through maybe the secret bosses or us the player. And to what end, I'm not sure, but that's just like my stretch. That's my stretch theory right there. But then why have a weird route at all? In Undertale, my interpretation of the genocide route was that you were getting revenge as Chara, or that you just don't care about this world. He begs you at the end to not destroy everything, so narratively it makes sense. But in the world of Deltarune, it feels so much darker. These characters, including the one you're controlling, have a lot more of a visceral reaction to your actions. They have relationships with one another. They react to every little action you make as Kris. And when you do something bad, or weird in this case, their reactions are justified. Toby said that there was only going to be one ending to Deltarune, and so far, despite the weird route happening, I can totally see that. Because despite what we make Noelle do, the change is small. She feels stronger and is thankful to Kris no matter what. The only real consequence so far is that Berdly is unmoving, but it's hard to see if that will have long-lasting consequences for that. Only time will tell. Maybe it's one of those things where, depending on the choices that you make, the characters inside of the game will have changed, but the ending largely remains the same. Whether or not you save the world, etc., that physical ending is the ending. But the way that characters feel about Kris, the way that Kris may feel about you as the player, etc., those are the things that will have changed. So technically there is one ending. It all ends at one singular point, but how characters feel about one another and the way that characters act will be different. Whatever the case, this game makes you feel your actions, makes you feel the weight of them. The game is keenly aware of you trying to find secrets and often calls you out on it. You are being watched, just as you are watching Kris, and I can't wait to see where this goes next. Okay, whoa. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you did, you are a real one. I needed to get that off my chest, so thank you for indulging me. I'm sorry that there's no cam. I look rough right now, to say the least. I look so fucking rough. Not even in like a, oh, I just didn't feel like putting on makeup. Makeup won't fix this. Makeup won't fix this. Finals are kicking my ass and I'm almost done, but I really wanted to get this out. This is supposed to be more of a jumping off point to start a conversation with each other, not necessarily to be a full Deltarune theory, which is why I called it the worst Deltarune theory you'll ever hear, because it's kind of half-baked, and I just wanted to spring off of one another and maybe start a conversation with one another down in the comments. Jesus, I'm losing my sanity. My mind is melting. Anyway, thank you so much for watching to the end. If you did, I already said that. I literally already said, I'm going insane. Anyway, join me next time where I don't know what I'm gonna talk about next time. Leave it in the comments below. You can reach me on all my social medias. Maybe I'm streaming, who knows? Twitch.tv/AlleyDreamer. And I will see you in the next episode. Love and peace. I should get one of those VTuber models. I don't have money to commission that, which means I'd have to draw it myself, which like yikes. Anyway, but I should, right? I should get like a VTuber model and like use that for when I don't want to be on camera.